There is no question that the COVID-19 pandemic has taken over the news cycles and influenced every decision that has been made this year. Regardless of where you're at or what industry you're in, the pandemic in one way or another has affected our individual lives. For airlines and airports, we have seen the sharp decline of aviation demand due to travel restrictions, and the global airline fleet has for the most part been grounded. However, thanks to medical breakthroughs, there could be a change in the situation as vaccines are now starting to be distributed. And even as a majority of the airlines' fleets remain grounded, it could soon be called to in what could be described as a large-scale global logistics operation, which is the distribution of the vaccines around the world. To better understand the scale of this operation, we'll take a look at some of the numbers provided by the International Air Transport Association. In a report released in September in anticipation of the COVID-19 vaccine distribution, IATA estimates that in order to provide vaccines enough for the global population of around 7.8 billion people, it would take 8,000 fully loaded 747 freighter flights to carry out the whole supply, which would take an estimated 2 years to complete. In order to accomplish this task, over 20,000 of the global commercial aircraft fleet, including cargo aircraft, could be called upon for service. While there are other means of carrying such time-sensitive cargo, air freight operations have been deemed as the best way to carry out this operation, given that the vaccines are time-sensitive materials compared to the current air freight operations of carrying medical supplies for the COVID-19 relief efforts ongoing right now. In anticipation of the global campaign and operation, the IATA has identified 4 key challenges in the carriage of COVID-19 vaccines throughout the world. The big issue is first the global route network, which for the most part has remained grounded. Airlines are currently operating at sub-maximal capacity, and certainly it would be ideal if the aviation industry was running at the pre-COVID capacity levels. The second major identified challenges was the facilities and infrastructure needed by airlines and airports to handle such materials, which vaccines do require storage in containers that are below freezing in temperature. While there are certain airports and airlines who have the equipment and are capable of handling such processed cargo, the same could not be said for the overall aviation industry. The third and fourth challenges are the current border controls, and because the vaccines are not only time sensitive but also valuable, IATA has identified the security of the supply being carried as major challenges for the COVID-19 vaccine distribution. With these challenges, it is a mounting operation for all airlines and governments around the world who are, if not already, in the process of making the approvals and testing for the vaccines. As most of the world is gearing up for this operation, some airlines have not only made their initial plans but have started carrying the vaccines, giving us a preview of what we could expect from this operation. Among the first airlines that was reported to be carrying the COVID-19 vaccines was United Airlines, which has been carrying them on aircraft including the Boeing 777s domestically and filed for flights from Chicago to Brussels for that specific purpose. The Chicago-based airline is using containers packed with dry ice, which is normally considered some potentially dangerous for aircraft and the crew operating the flight, because dry ice is a solid form of carbon dioxide. With the reduced pressures of being in the air, the CO2 from the dry ice could replace the oxygen being breathed on board the aircraft. IATA and aviation authorities such as the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration has issued advisories on the handling of such dry ice with the containers, but in order to help meet the requirements needed for carrying the cargo, United Airlines was granted permission by the FAA to carry up to 15,000 pounds of dry ice, 5 times the amount normally allowed for flight operations. While airlines do have access to refrigerated containers, the use of dry ice would enable airlines to carry more containers carrying the COVID-19 vaccines. Following United Airlines, in recent weeks we've also seen its US-based counterparts Delta and American also starting their own charter operations carrying COVID-19 vaccines. While the operations in the United States are underway, plans by other airlines around the world is starting to take shape. Singapore's flag carrier Singapore Airlines was recently reported to be prioritizing cargo operations for the carrying of COVID-19 vaccines, with a plan to dedicate 7 of the Boeing 747 freighters on its fleet to carry the precious cargo, taking advantage of the Singapore hub. For the temperature-controlled containers and storage, it has partnered with its local ground handling firm SATS. Shifting to Europe, we also see Lufthansa gearing up for its cargo operations to carry the vaccines, with a seemingly well-timed completion of the pharma hubs in both Chicago and Munich, which goes along with its current hub at Frankfurt Airport. These are just some of the airlines that have reported either their plans or are currently operating flights carrying the vaccines already. We'll certainly hear more about other airlines in the news from other parts of the world along with the areas that have been reported, Though in the interim, it could be likely that the main airlines experienced in handling such cargo, including the dedicated cargo airlines like FedEx and UPS, will be among the frontliners in carrying the vaccines early on. It's also not uncommon for airlines to normally carry purchased cargo that we may not normally see when we fly with them, and it's likely that when air travel becomes more open for the masses, the vaccines will also be a part of the cargo. Before that happens, we'll also see some unusual airline routes, as cargo charters for the vaccines for the time being will be operated until more flights are resumed, and governments of respective countries and airlines not equipped to handle the cargo right now would, within a few months, would be able to secure the necessary partnerships and resources to take part in this mission. Of course, there will be some remote places that will be inaccessible by aircraft, which to access those areas we could see ground transportation options taking over. That's just a part of what will be a complicated global operation, which airlines will play a major role in the year to come. I definitely hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been Flights in Asia, highlighting the news and updates from the aviation and travel scene in the Asia Pacific. Once again, thank you again for watching and have a great day.